All right, we're back for leg 2. Happy Thursday, Friday. You never know when y'all are watching this. So, happy leg 2. Today we're going to dive into establishing position on your board. My dog is going to join us, apparently. Yes, you are. You guys want to see Ollie? There's Ollie. Yeah, he likes to give me kisses. This is how I establish position on my board. Okay, go. Okay, cameo. Ollie cameo. That's my dog. Okay, establishing position on our board. You. It's too much. Okay, sorry about that. Reconvene. We are on the board. We've paddled out. Okay, so we talked about in leg 1, we've paddled out. You guys have done the work. You've worked on identifying values. You kind of know where you are. You know where the values are within it that kind of drive you and keep you staying there. And then we've talked about a way to evaluate and I'm getting a little moisture, Ollie moisture, constantly off my chin. You have been able to kind of look at your self in a bit more of a fluid way through values, specifically through values, right? Which we'll talk much more about as we keep going through the weekend. Today we get to start talking about the next piece of the weekend, which we kind of enter, we shift from values into this idea of areas of life. And we weed out and work with the elements of the wellness wheel, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Elements of the wellness wheel are the parts of our life, and I really encourage you to bring your own if they're not on this little list here from worksheet number 5. They're parts of our life that we kind of divide our lives into examples: emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, occupational. Okay, again, just like values, you've heard it before, we've talked about it before, mainstream self-help stuff, right? We're going to look at a little bit differently at it, kind of take a different shift, and for the purposes of this weekend, go with that shift and think about it through a slightly different lens, I hope. Worksheet number 6, areas of life. We take those areas of our lives that we've selected as most important to us, and we put them on surfboards. Just kind of a visual fun because we're surfing throughout this time. Then there is a story around the jellyfish and kind of the story and inspiration behind this piece of the weekend, or I guess of all of this curriculum, my One Wildlife curriculum. I'll tell the story. I had a client who was one of my very nearest and dearest clients, who was a college junior, and her name was Megan, and she was one of the most beautiful, just kind souls. You could really tell she had a lot going for her. She played for University of Oregon on the soccer team. Megan and I worked together for about 6 months. We met weekly, and she never missed a session. Very, very regularly attended. Her and I did a ton of work around this value. So we worked exclusively through this stuff around, like, what are the areas of her life? She was just off. She was always just like off. I'm doing all the right things. I'm saying all the right things. I'm showing up for all the right things. I'm off. And disconnected, kind of, she would say. Like, I want to cry. I just don't feel fulfilled in my life. And so we really did the work of breaking it down and pulling out the areas of her life. And I kept trying to tell her to kind of do it and like to do a circle for each area of your life, or block it out and do a diagram. And she kept being like, I'm not connecting. And then one day we were talking, she was like, I put them on jellyfish. And I was like, what do you mean you put them on jellyfish? And she's like, I put them on jellyfish, and they're purple jellyfish because purple is my favorite color. And the moment I did that, I made this diagram, this whole picture, and which she showed me. She's like, then I like connected with it. I resonated with it. It felt true to me because I randomly picked jellyfish because I want them to feel fluid. She was like, I want them to feel like they're like moving around. College student, right? She's like they're jellyfish. Like they're there, but they're always kind of ebbing and flowing and unpredictable and all of those things. And I was like, I love that, but didn't think much about it, right? So Megan and I very consistently worked together. One week, she didn't show up for a session. And I was like, that's odd. I messaged, I reached out for her. Fast forward, about a month after not hearing from Megan, I got an email from BetterHelp, which is who I was working with at the time, and Megan had been found dead in her room, and her mom reached out to me. Her mom shared, they asked if her mom could get in touch with me. Mom called me. Mom and I had multiple hour-long conversations, and it had been, no one really there wasn't a reason specifically designated for why Megan's heart stopped. The week before Megan died was when she brought to me her jellyfish, and her jellyfish were all laid out. Her mom said when they went into her room, it was right there on front, like her desk, and she was there, and we were gonna plan the next week kind of what we were gonna do to nurture and fill in and provide for. We were gonna kind of do this activity. So for the purposes of this weekend, I want to use surfboards as our main things, and I just want to hold what Megan taught me as a part of this exercise, that there was this beautiful moment with her mom where she just could say, I saw her dreaming. Like, I saw this work with these jellyfish that she made, and she was dreaming, and she was present, and she understood her life, and nobody is ever going to understand why or how this beautiful athletic, healthy college junior didn't wake up one morning. And I think what the story reminded me of was that Megan was so aware of the parts of her that mattered to her and that we were going to fill in. And so I just I talked to her mom about it, and I said, can I use the story, and can this was probably 2 years ago, and I said, when I eventually developed my curriculum, would it be all right to use the jellyfish? And she said, of course. And I've sent a copy of that to Megan's mom, and her and I have stayed in touch. And it's a reminder, I guess, of the brevity of life and the uncertainties of life, right? When we look at these jellyfish. So I want to honor all the parts of us. This ever-flowing fluid energy that Megan brought into our conversations was always like, I can't quite figure it out, and I know things are always shifting and moving, and the circles are just not working for me. And so I'm going to bring jellyfish into the scene, and suddenly a tiny switch, like seeing it visually different. So we love Megan, and that's the story behind our jellyfish. Okay, back to where we are, worksheet number 7, priority ordering and values consideration. So this is kind of where we switch. Next step is we are going to take the areas of our life, and we are going to do some work right now as kind of the foundation for where we're going tomorrow and spending the bulk of our time tomorrow. We are going to do some work right now around, I'm going to ask you to do something that I know is hard and I do not love, and I'm going to ask you to spend some time sorting through, being very aware of what happens in your heart when you try to put against, in competition and priority order, the things that matter most to you in your life. Considering your values that you've selected, and also these areas that we're going to try to prioritize and kind of pit against each other. And for purposes of tonight, because I like to leave you in uncomfortable situations therapeutically, I'm going to let you kind of just wrestle with that and know that. We're going to do that work tomorrow of kind of sorting through how that feels. So we're going to me versus me, as opposed to, in contrast to, is the definition of versus. We're going to talk about something that I like to call the spillover effect in making priority decisions with our lives and the different areas of our lives, and we put them against each other, how we consider and incorporate a natural tendency I picked up with a lot of people that I've worked with throughout the years, the spillover effect. You get to read more about that, more questions about scarcity and the sense of being and or not being enough. So that brings us to the end of leg 2. And I will be ready for you. Where are we on the water? We are positioning. We are ready to go. We are getting ready to choose our wave, and we're going to do that in leg 3. Ciao!